Hello and welcome to Conversations with Carrie, and I'm your host, Carrie Marie, and I'm here to uplift, inspire, and empower you on your personal journey to your success, whatever that looks like for you. And I want to share with you my challenges of this week, and I've literally been doing a 5-day challenge, and I wanted to share with you the power of following through on your commitments and creating value for not just yourself but others, and fighting for yourself and others. So this challenge was by a coach, run by a coach called Hayley Latcham. She's an award-winning coach. She's a confidence and empowerment coach, and she's on a mission to help women really come into their power, to earn their worth, to light up the world, to become the leaders they're meant to be a light shining out into the darkest corners of the world. And she's really wanting women to to let go of people pleasing, of beating themselves up, of keeping themselves small. She's wanting to let all of that go, and she calls it the good girl mentality, the good girl role that we play, that, if I do this, I'll be seen, that would be really scary, they might not like it, it'll rock the boat. If you do that, it'll be really unsafe, it's better to stay safe. So keeping the game small. She wants women to break out of that. And I've seen her journey, her personal journey, and it's just been absolutely phenomenal to see her grow and to see the achievements that she's accomplishing. And I was like, I want to work with her. I really want to work with this lady. And I have to say, for all the mentors and coaches out there in the world, her energy was driving me and pulling me. And I was like, out of all the people I've heard, and when she says, I have your back, I'm going to support you, I won't take no for an answer, I will not buy into your excuses, into your smaller limiting ideas, I'm going to call you up on all that, is that cool? I'm like, hell yes. And I believe her when she says that she will do all of that. And so as I see her, I'm looking at her and thinking, that's who I want to be as a coach. That's like the next level up for me. And that level of embodiment. And she has a school called Embodied Woman School of Coaching, and it's just phenomenal. I'm familiar with some of the women in that school, and I've seen them grow as well. And it's just like, okay, there's something here. There's something amazing here. So I was like, yep, I want to work with this woman. In the past, she would have intimidated me, she would have pushed my buttons, and I wouldn't have wanted to be in the room with her. It would have been too much for me. So I want to acknowledge myself for actually being in a position now where I'm looking at her and thinking, yeah, I want that. I want to work with that. I want someone to make me uncomfortable. I want someone who is going to trigger me and push my buttons, because I know full well when that happens, I get to grow and change. So I'd like you to think about people in your life who perhaps trigger you somewhat. And I'd like you to think of people who inspire you. And I'd like you to think about, what is it that inspires you? What is it that resonates with you? What is it about them that excites you? What is it about them that makes you want to be like them, sound like them, look like them, act like them? What is it about them that makes you, it simply inspires you to want to, say, embody that? Is it the way that they dress? Is it the way that they act and behave? Is it what they say, or is it how they say it? Are they very articulate? Are they very confident? Is it how they hold themselves? What is it about them that inspires you? For me, when I look at Hayley, I see someone who just doesn't care about what anyone is going to say, what anyone thinks, that she just makes a mistake, it's all good. It's like she laughs at it. It's like, oh, well, that didn't work out. That's all good. Next. And that kind of attitude is something that I want to embody. For too long, don't get me wrong, I am a heck of a lot better now than I used to be. I don't want to do anything because I didn't want to get it wrong. It had to be perfect. It had to be right, because I felt like if I didn't get it right, then I was going to upset someone. And I didn't want to upset anyone. I felt like I had to be a mind reader. I had to figure out what it was that people wanted. And if I didn't get it right, then they would be upset with me because I didn't mind read. And that would make me a really bad person because I couldn't work out what they wanted. Did you get it right? I wonder if this resonates with you. Perhaps it does. If it does, I totally see you and hear you. So anyway, I wanted to follow her on this mission. So I went on the webinar. She invited us onto a 5-day challenge, and I said yes to that. And once I knew when the timings were, I blocked off the time. I rearranged appointments. I even, on occasion, actually 2 of them that fell after the training, and I was just like, I'm really sorry, this is going to go over. I'm committed to this. Can we make it just a little bit later? Could we make it for another time? And you know, you've got really good friends when they say, yeah, sure, you rock out in the challenge, and I'll speak to you later. All good. And I had to do that a few times. In fact, one call I completely forgot. And it was like, and she was already in the waiting room on Zoom, and it was like, oh no, I'm so sorry, I forgot all about this. I've been so focused on this challenge. And she's like, it's all good. You rock out. I've got other things I can be doing. I'll speak to you next week. It's all good. How cool is that? How amazing is that to have a friend who does that? There's the importance of the kinds of friends we have in our lives who will support our growth and won't hold it against us when we stuff up. So for more information on that, you can check out a podcast that I did with Carrie. And in fact, it was Carrie who I felt like I was letting down. And she's like, no, it's all good. You go and rock on. So there's a podcast about the 3 kinds of friendships or relationships that we can experience, and about the inner circle, the ideas, friends, and acquaintances. If you haven't heard that, go and check it out. I will try and find the link and post it below for you in the description, so you can go and check that out. Where was I going? I lost my train of thought. So yeah, that's right. So about a week before we're about to get started on the challenge, Hayley messages us and she says, hey, actually, you know what? I'm on a mission. When you signed up for the challenge, I said to you that anyone who comes in, because it's paid, it's not much, it's a small amount. She says, anyone who pays to join the challenge helps to support a scholarship for someone who can't afford to do this work, who needs financial help. I wouldn't be able to do this work otherwise, but but it's a woman who really wants change and needs to change. So the money goes towards that. And I would love it if you would to invite anyone in your circle who you feel would benefit from this and help support this mission even more. So, and I believe in Hayley's mission of wanting to really turn women's lives around. So I was like, normally in the past I wouldn't bother with this. I'd have been like, who would be interested in what I'm doing? And I'm not sure about this. But instead I was like, actually, you know what? Even though it's a paid challenge, I really believe in what Hayley's doing. I believe that it can really make a difference to someone's life. So I reached out in my circle of friends and started to say, hey, I'm following this coach. I'm doing a challenge next week. It's looking like it's going to be phenomenal. That it's all about it's all about transforming our relationship with fear. And I got some responses back, and I had two people in my group, in my circle of friends, say yes, I'm interested in that, and they signed up for it. And one of the reasons I did that, actually, when I think about it, one of the reasons I decided to reach out, so I thought, well, the worst that can happen is that people say no. But if anyone were to say yes, it would mean that I would have to step up, because they're in there because I recommended it, because I said it was a good deal. And I said to anyone who would like to come and join, so they would have Haley supporting them, the coach, but not only that, they would also have me, that I would be there supporting them, guiding them. And if they got stuck or need extra support, that they could reach out to me, because at the end of the day, you know, you've got, I didn't know how many Haley was going to have in the group. And I figured, well, you know, she's only one person. At the end of the day, she's just one person. And so I figured, well, you know, I'm here. I've got skills. And so I wanted to be able to offer that. I knew that I could. If someone was struggling with a challenge, I knew that I had the skills to help them through that, to listen to them, to validate them, to, if they needed advice on how to get through it, that I could be there for them in whatever capacity they needed me to be there for them. So I was like, yeah, I can do that. So I did, and I showed up, and I offered not just support for them, but for other members of the group as well. And it's something that I've never really done before in these sorts of challenges. Normally I've just gone in and just done little bits, like just paid more attention to the trainings versus the Q&As. Anyway, I want to come back to that point I made about being there for others. I want you to think about, because this was a stretch for me, and I want you to think about where you've perhaps done something in your life where perhaps you might have invited people in, and you've decided to do that because you wanted the stretch of becoming a better person through supporting them. Not to please them, but because you genuinely wanted to become a better person. Or maybe you've got something coming up soon in your life where you're thinking about how you could stretch yourself a little bit more, and thinking about, well, how can you stretch more but through assisting and supporting others, maybe offering some mentoring advice, perhaps through championing and encouraging. You'll be amazed at what results can be achieved simply through encouraging others to show up. It's really, really, really amazing. So I'd like you to think about that. And the other part of this was fighting for myself. So there's a prize at the end of all that for extra coaching with Haley, and it's like, and I wanted that. I didn't want to just do the challenge and then not work with Haley. So I committed to a program that she was offering. So as an upsell, I decided, you know what, I'm doing it. I wanted to show her my commitment, that I really wanted to work with her. And I have to say that when you find someone who you really want to work with, and, you know, if you are looking for a coach, you want to feel good about handing over your money. There should be no doubt in your mind. If you have doubt, don't give them the money. Just don't do it. I've done that so many times myself, where I've been unsure. There's been a little bit of a niggle in my mind, like, oh, do I really want to? If you've got that in your head, don't do it. Don't give them the money. Either you're not ready for it yet, and don't let them convince you otherwise, or they're just not the right coach for you. Either way, don't do it, because if you're not quite ready for it, you'll self-sabotage and you won't do it. You won't show up. At least that's been my experience. That's my map, and that may or may not resonate with you. So do take that with a pinch of salt. But what I noticed when I signed up for Haley's course was like, yes, I really want this. And it felt like just give, where's the dotted line? How do you want me to pay for this? It was like a no-brainer, honestly. And so I did that. And I remember that night thinking about the whole challenge, and because she's in Australia, so here the challenge doesn't the last Q&A doesn't finish until like 8:30 at night, my time, 8:30, and it's like a little bit of time before bed, and my mind was going crazy, and I was like, I don't want to stop at 4 weeks. I even messaged her, left a voice message saying, I don't want to stop at 4 weeks, and I really want the prize. I want the grand prize. I want to work with you more. How the frick do I make that happen? What do I need to do? And she didn't respond to that. She heard the message actually, but she didn't respond to it. And I was like thinking, oh no, was I too vulnerable? Should I have said that? All the other thoughts then, like I used to get, would come up. It's like, no, it's okay. And I realized this was a test for me. This was me testing her a little bit. Because in the past, when I've admitted that I've wanted something so badly, I haven't received it. I didn't get it. And I realized that in part it's because I was coming from a place of necessity. I needed it. I wanted it. But I perhaps didn't deserve it. And this was a realization I had yesterday when I was listening to the Achiever's Edge with Peter Thompson, and there was a guest saying this exact thing. There's a difference between receiving because you need it and receiving because you deserve it. And whilst I didn't have that in my mind at the time, I was like, okay, wrong question. It's not what do I need to do, it's who do I need to be to convince her that I'm worth giving this to. And she'd already admitted that she wanted me in the challenge, that she wanted me in her community. She'd already said that to me, and that she was so glad that I was there and that the world needed more Carries, because I was showing up for everything. I was showing up for every training. I was showing up for every Q&A. I was making an effort and putting my hand up in every session. Even if I didn't know what to say, I would just want to say something. Because it's through at least trying, even if we don't know the right question to ask, whatever. And sometimes I don't even have a question to ask, but there's still something I could offer of value, even if it's acknowledging the room and acknowledging Haley for the space that she was creating where people could share so vulnerably. There's still value in that. So it became not so much about what's in it for me, but what value could I give to everyone else? So maybe you can relate to this. Where have you shown up in your life, or where could you show up in your life where you can offer value? Not because there's something in it for you, but there's something in it for someone else. Like it would benefit people, not just you. Because I got benefit out of acknowledging people as well. It's like I got to see the room light up for being acknowledged for their growth, for being acknowledged for showing up. Because it's the first challenge I've ever been to where so many women actually showed up and really committed to their journey and to their growth and to each other. It was just an absolutely amazing experience. So I'd like you to think about that. Where perhaps could you offer more value? Where could you acknowledge and validate other people more for what they're doing and achieving in their lives? Even if it's just for their brutal honesty about where they're at or what it is that they want. So that's another part of this. Another part of this is that I really wanted to fight for me. Too often I don't fight for me. And I think I'm not sure if I shared this on the podcast, but a few weeks ago there was an event. It was a 2-day event workshop, and there's an amazing prize at that too. And I literally did everything I could to win the prize. I was supporting in the chat because it was a virtual event. I was supporting in the chat. I was writing notes and adding that into the chat. I was posting and basically doing their marketing for them. I was posting about the event, posting my key learnings from the event with their hashtags on three different places. I felt like there wasn't much more I could give. And I was letting them know I really wanted it. That I really, really wanted that prize. And at the end of it, I didn't get it. But at the end of that, I mean, in the past, it was like, oh, what's the point? I did my best. It didn't come out to anything. And in the past, I'd have gone into apathy and then just not bothered. And that would have been the end of it. I would have just given up. But I decided that, no, that's something that I've got to work on and getting through. So I took that, okay, well, here's the lesson for me. Just let go of the apathy. It's okay. Didn't work out this time. Maybe someone needed it more than I did. Maybe it wasn't that I didn't deserve it. Maybe I just don't need him to coach me. Maybe he's not actually maybe that's just not the right thing for me to be doing right now. And so it's like, okay, I'll let that go. And I let that go really quick. I was able to shift that by the morning. So I found out late that night, and then the next morning I was all good. It was all fine. And in showing up for this challenge, so 5 days versus 2 days, giving my all, quite different. And then actually being acknowledged for all that effort. So I fought for me, I fought for the ladies that I brought in, I fought for other ladies who I felt like I could really help. There was one there who wanted to do a song, and I think there was some posts in the group that made me think that she was struggling a little bit with it. So I decided I'll reach out to her and see how she's getting on. And I had a chat with her, and it turned out that she wanted to sing because it was something that her dad wanted to do, that her granddad had wanted to do, but they'd never managed it. And so there was all this pressure on her to sing. And she was had indecision about what song to sing. And what she really wanted to do was tone. But she was scared of toning. And it's funny because I find the opposite. It's like I'm more scared to sing a song where you've got rhythm, melody, hitting the right notes. That freaks me out more than toning. But for her, it was the opposite. She found it hard with toning because she's like, well, that's all of me. That's got to come from who I am. And she found that really vulnerable. So we had a chat, and I walked her through, and we did some toning together. And then later that day, she did her video, and she did it toning, and it was the most beautiful thing to see. And I guess why I'm sharing that with you is because just being with someone and just seeing where they're at and just seeing what they need to break through whatever it is that's holding them back. And she still said at the end of that call that she was going to just sing the song. So to see her toning was just amazing, because I knew that was a bigger stretch for her. So think about this. So maybe there's people in your life that could do with that support, that acknowledgement, that validation, that letting them be okay with where they're at, what they're feeling, and acknowledging them for the pressure that they're putting themselves under. and helping them to see that they really have got what it takes to do whatever it is that they want. Where am I going with this? I kind of lost the track a bit there, sorry. I want to come back to, so I did that workshop, that 2-day workshop, played full out, didn't win the prize. And this time I played full out, did everything. I even mentioned that, yes, I really wanted this. really wanted to win this prize of working with Haley on a more one-to-one basis and for longer. And I won the prize this time. And one of the things that we learned in the week was about grit. And one of the things about grit is that even if you fail once, don't let that stop you from trying again. And I realized that this was me trying again. And I succeeded. So the lesson here is, don't let one failure stop you from trying and getting what it is that you want. Don't believe that all because you didn't do it once, you can't do it again. And so in this case, it was 2 different coaching things. It's 2 different offers. Let's say it might have been that the first one wasn't even the right coach for me, and that this person is the right coach for me. I trust that this is valuable for you. And the story that she shared and her journey with grit and determination was, and I fully admire this, she did a 50-kilometer obstacle course. The event's called Spartan, and she did it in 2018, and she trained hard, and they must have a time limit, and she got within 100 meters of the finish line when the whistle was blown. Her husband was 10 meters before the finish line, and I don't know where her friends were, but none of them finished. Not one of them finished, and she was like, oh, I'm not doing this again. And she was really hard on herself through the whole event, and at the end of it, she was like, I'm not doing this again. It's too hard. But all of her friends and her husband were like, you know what? I'm going to do it again next year. And she was like, well, if they can do it, then I can do it. And so she did. So she trained hard, and she said, well, I want to be different. I want to go through that again, but with the same attitude. I want to have a different attitude, a more positive, loving, kind, encouraging attitude. And so she did it again, and she succeeded the second time around. And she got this massive medal. And I trust that that's helpful for you, that it's really about who we're being through the experience that matters. We can whip ourselves through an experience, we can decide not to try again, but the failing doesn't really matter. What matters is that what matters is who we are as we're trying. And for me, I noticed that through this experience, I wasn't beating myself up about it. I wasn't with the other one either, to be fair, when I think about it. But with this one, it was different. It was a whole other level of supporting on an individual basis. There was more setting and finding time to be there for others. When I was like, wow, my schedule's actually quite full. How and where can I find the time? It's like, okay, there's a bit of time here. How about we do it then? So much to this. I really do hope that you're getting value from this. And then finally last night, the party, I was like, this is mine. Has to be mine. I put so much effort in. I put so much time in. And when she finally announced my name, after we've had a good party and we've all acknowledged ourselves, it's like, oh my God, I did it. And I didn't have words to really describe how I felt. And even now, it's still like sinking in. And that's perfectly normal too. And when we have stretched ourselves, and there were stretches within the stretches too, that sometimes we can feel a bit flat because we've put so much energy in to a certain challenge, into doing something, that when we've actually, it's like stretching an elastic band, and once that elastic's gone, you've done the thing, the energy's been released, there's just this flatness at the end of it. That's totally normal. Like sometimes we can do something, we can think, yes, I did that, and it can give us energy. And that's awesome too. But know that if you're the sort of person who's completed something, that you've built up a lot of energy around it, and you've got the thing that you want, and you're like, well, I don't feel happy, I don't feel like I've got energy, I don't feel like, woohoo, I did that. That's totally normal. Know that that's totally and absolutely normal. So I'd love to know what you loved about this, and how hearing this has affected you, and how you might show up differently next time you have challenges. Who are you going to be the next time you have a challenge? Are you going to be someone who encourages yourself, who validates yourself, who sees how they can bring value? Not just asking what's in it for me, but bringing value to others and raising the standards and raising the bars. Coming with intention. How else can I be here? What else can I offer? How can I find time for that? I said I wanted to do this. How can I find time to make that happen? Because there's times when I was thinking, I've offered this, now I've got to follow through. How am I going to find time for that? And I managed it. I found the time. Even if it meant getting up a bit earlier, even if it meant I had to do things a bit faster to make sure that I could follow through on my promises, I did it. So how can you do that? Where is there somewhere in your life where you feel like, where perhaps you're needing and you're doing things on necessity, but not actually not necessarily doing the work, not necessarily receiving because you really truly deserve it? I don't know, another example comes to mind, and I hope that this is relevant. I used to work in sales. I used to work in an outdoor shop, and we'd have sales, and occasionally the suppliers would have challenges and prizes for us. So to help boost sales, right, gives an incentive to sell their product. Because of course, if we sell their product, then we buy more stuff from them. So, and I remember Icebreaker in particular would set challenges, and so the value, the deserving of that prize was meeting the criteria for the challenge. And one of the challenges they run was like we had to do like $1,000 sale, or they would give so much, or I can't remember how it worked, whether the discount or whether it was a sort of like a product that you'd get if you sold a certain amount. But I remember there being a big prize if you sold like $1,000 worth of product in one sale. And I did actually manage that. I made a really good sales for a family, I believe. And it's like, cool. But you see, I got the prize, and I can't remember what the prize was exactly now, but I got the prize because I deserved it. I got the prize because I actually made the sales. I closed the last 3 feet. I wasn't able to just tell them about the product. I was actually able to sell them the product. I was actually able to go beyond just telling them the benefits and the features of it and why it would be good for them to have it. So that's pretty cool. I can think of examples in my life. How about you? Where have you shown up in your life for yourself, where you've received because you really deserved it, because you went above and beyond? I'd love to know. And I'm not sure you can actually comment in the podcast, but you can come and join me in empowering you. the Empowering You Club, and I'll post the link in the description here as well, so you can come and check that out as well. So hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for listening. I trust that this was useful to you, and I'll see you again next week. Have an awesome day. Bye.